This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, everybody. Rick DiClemente here with ourself and with Astrology Unplugged. It's nice to have you joining us tonight for another episode where I will be working with people that believe that they are stuck. In case you're new to the show, this is about week number 256. So we've been on going into our 6th year now, and we largely cover all kinds of different issues about astrology. The last 10 weeks, however, I've been devoting to one person for the whole show because I wanted to show people what it was like to do an entire reading on a person, much like I do privately. So I put the focus on people who believed that they were stuck. And so far, I'm about 8 for 8 in terms of people feeling unstuck when the show is over. We'll be getting to my next guest, another California guest, here in just a minute. But I do want to share with you what's upcoming on the show. So next week, our Mark R, who's usually with us for many months and months, Mark R will be our guest. He believes he's stuck in some fashion, so I'll be trying to help Mark. And then finally, the final one of this group will be Joyce V, who's somewhere in California again. I think she might even be in Mexico. She will be there, and that will be on the 10th of February. Now, as you know, the big event in astrology is taking place on February 20th, which is the Pluto Return in the United States chart, which is one massive big deal. So I'll be talking about that later. But I had to move Greg Keene around instead of the Reverend Psychic, a medium from Lilydale. Greg Keene will be with us on February 17th. And then a few days after the exact Pluto conjunction, my guest will be Stephen Poplin for a third or fourth time. He's a very good astrologer and a very fine hypnotist and regressionist from Virginia Beach, hailing out of the area where Edgar Cayce had his hospitals. Stephen and I will be together on February 24th, both of us talking to you about the United States Pluto return. And to give you a little bit of a hint in case you have not heard, and you're starting to hear more about this, in the United States chart, Pluto was at a certain degree of Capricorn back in 1776. And Pluto has gone all the way around for a long time, long time. And Pluto will return to the same spot February 20th. So less than a month from now. And that has tremendous ramifications, good, bad, and ugly. So we'll be talking about that. That's why I invited Stephen. Stephen's particularly good at social situations as an astrologer. So it'll take two of us to cover such a deep and heavy subject. We welcome tonight my guest, Terry. Terry's been following us for quite a while. She's been on the show a couple times. Terry is in the middle of the West Coast of California, and I'm very jealous. Welcome, Terry.
Hi, nice meeting you all.
Now, Terry, we're going to get into a lot of things here. You have a very difficult chart for me. It's not simple. And last week was very tough too. Maybe I make it look easy, but a lot of these charts are not easy. The one tonight is not easy. And I think I know why, but I'm not sure. Terry, I want to go over your birth details with you to make sure we have the right birth information. So I have you born February 25th of 1946, right after the war. Well, really, actually, while the war was still going on, at 3:34 in the morning in San Fran. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, she's a Pisces, and we're going to get into this because it's very complex. Now, everybody I've talked to who've raised their hand and said, I'm stuck, have really all meant different definitions of what stuckitis means. Okay? So, in your own words, what do you mean that your life is stuck?
I'm stuck because I have not been able to make the leap into the now.
You've not been able to make the leap into the now, which is the only leap that's possible. And you got to make it some point in time. And I think I know why that is. But let me have more information from you. What do you mean you cannot leap into the now?
If something happens, I'm always triggered back into past events, and you go circling the drain, and I don't want to circle the drain anymore.
What I'm hearing is you keep running to the past and you won't come into the present. Correct?
Yeah.
And what I know from doing this is you're ready to, and that's scary.
Yes.
That can be scary, but every wise man book I've ever read says that that's the only thing that exists is the here and now. And we're jumping into the here and now is, quote, where it's at. So I feel very good about this reading. I feel very confident that you'll be able to make it sometime soon. I'm not sure when, but I think your planets are lining up in such a fashion. And I've done this long enough to know that people don't come on this show unless they're ready. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't line up right. Okay, a couple questions. Your mom and dad are passed?
I'm adopted.
Okay. As far as your mom and dad that adopted you, are they still living?
No.
Okay. Your mother was what sign?
She was a Sagittarius.
Okay. Sagittarius. And when you were little, how well did you two get along?
She was always trying to learn how to understand me.
She was always trying to figure you out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's understandable between a Sag and a Pisces. Okay, did she give you love?
Oh, yeah.
What wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What about your sign of your dad? What sign was he?
Virgo.
What's the story with your dad?
He was just a great, easygoing guy.
Good provider,
Good provider.
hard
Loved
worker.
his fellow man.
Good. All right, you're freezing up on me a little bit here and there. Okay, during your life, I don't need to ask much more, but in the major parts of your life, what kind of work have you done?
Office work. My last job, I had a home care agency for helping seniors, medical field.
Very good for
setting up
your,
computers.
that's very good for your chart. Okay, let's take a look at your chart.
Okay.
Okay, so we see in your chart, we see Neptune is really high in the sky, and he's at 8 degrees, squaring the ascendant at 5 degrees, almost 6 degrees. So this Neptune position, because it's here, not over here, it's not over here, it's here, making a right angle to the ascendant. This makes this Neptune very powerful, and it's already your ruling planet because you're a Pisces. So you are a Pisces. Your moon is in Sagittarius, which is really good for Pisces usually, and you got Capricorn rising, and that usually can be very good too. So you're the opposite of me. I'm Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Pisces. You're the opposite. And Jupiter is sitting right now at 618. So Jupiter is almost exactly on your Sun right now, which means it probably was exact. It was probably exact on your Sun yesterday. Okay, it's close enough. Now, I have marveled through time at the tremendous amount of phenomenal musicians that we have that were born in 1946. And that's because they had the Jupiter, Chiron, Neptune conjunction. People like Lennon, people like, um, oh my God, John Prine, people like Van Morrison, people with phenomenal writing skills. Paul Simon, they get the songs just roll off their fingertips. They got this natural ability, and it's because of this tremendous stellium in Libra at that time. Some people in 1945, most of them in 1946, and then they started to separate. This thing happened again later in the 90s, but it was not in the sign of Libra. So this gives you, Terry, and I'm losing your visual. I don't know why that is. This gives you strong musical abilities. Do you have musical abilities?
Yes.
And what instruments?
I play the piano and tambourine and air drums and air bass and
Okay, are you have any idea why we lost your visual?
No, but I see myself.
I don't see you. I'm going to stop the video for a second.
This meeting
Okay,
is being
now
recorded.
we got your visual back. Okay, now when you have Jupiter, Chiron, Neptune, it's not just musical ability. Okay, it's one thing that really is phenomenal. I could go on. This list is unbelievable of these musicians that have that triad. But it also gives a lot of charisma to the person. The person just has godly charisma. And her email is at saintly.com. And she's a Pisces. And I'm telling you, this woman is very, very saintly. I've seen this several times in my reading. And I think you're going to be very surprised tonight about tonight's reading. Your chart is blocked. I'm going to show you where it's blocked. And I've seen it with other friends of mine. We're going to dig down to try to find out why. Here is the issue in your chart. You got Mars next to Saturn in Capricorn, in Cancer, and Saturn in Cancer is retrograde. And there's this big T square. Look at the whole T square pointing to it. Saturn connected to Mars is a combination of hold it, be careful, be cautious. It can even lead to muscular illnesses in the body, muscular dystrophy, things like this, very common with Mars Saturn. I've got the same combination myself, but it's in a different sign. But what it is the part of you that wants to go is right next to the part of you that wants to be cautious. And they're both in a sign of Cancer, which is about cautious. This all comes about from past lives where you got hurt. You were hurt by someone or something, and it really did a number on you. And because of that, you've been carrying that with you. The planets don't stick together because they got glue or a rubber band. They stick together because you're holding them together. The reason you're somewhat closed off is because you're closed off. That's all. I'm not going to judge you for it, but I'm saying that's why. The reason you can't come into the here and now is you won't let go. So I've often wanted somebody to paint a mural on my wall, especially when I had an office. I want to have a mural of a person holding onto the tree, holding onto the post. You ever see a pier when you're going when at Ocean City, etc., and you see these piers when they have all the games out on the pier. Well, I wanted a picture of this person holding on to the pier and everybody else in the water having a good time. And the caption of the picture is mural. How come I can't go out there and swim and have fun? Oh, you can't let go. You can't go have fun. It's easy to say. A lot of people have that issue. A lot. And it comes back to some trauma early in the past life somewhere. Could have been repeated during this lifetime. But let's get into other things before we get into that. We've got a lot of things to do. A lot of things to do. So you notice your Jupiter is very strong. It's at 27. It's right on the midheaven. This is very, very good. I need you to look at the screen because I'll be pointing it out with the mouse. Okay? The Jupiter is very, very powerful. This tells me that the Sagittarian influence, Moon in Sag, Jupiter right there, ruler of Sag, your mother's a Sag. This tells me that things have a way of magically landing in your lap. And I was sitting here at the very beginning, marveling at your face because you have an elongated face. And there's only two signs of the zodiac that have elongated faces. One is Sag, one is Aquarius. Aquarius is more parallel on the two sides of the face. Yours is more rounded gently. That's more of a Sagittarian face. So we know you're really cautious. We know that you're very pleasant. Venus in Pisces is just wonderful. Mercury in Pisces can be wonderful. And you got the Sun, Venus, Mercury, all at the end of a T-square. T-square, Moon opposite Uranus. Moon opposite Uranus. So before you can understand the T-square, you got to understand what's going on across the bottom of the T-square. Moon opposite Uranus is somebody that for whatever reason has had a lot of shakiness in their life in terms of emotional instability. The emotional people around you were very changeable, okay? I need you to be looking up here. Yeah, I nodded your chart. Okay, thank you. Now, what does that mean to you?
It means I was never in a constant, stable, emotional place.
Okay, you were adopted, and do you know how old you were?
I was 9 months.
Okay, so it happened very early. And do you know what?
Can I mention something? I was trafficked by the Catholic Church too. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm not surprised whatsoever, and that would certainly tell us why there's such a radical, confusing, unnerving, unstable foundation to you that gave rise to this. So what this means is you have this very unstable background, almost like standing in quicksand. But what did you do with the T-square? You sent the energy to the Sun in Pisces, to Venus in Pisces, to Mercury in Pisces, and you made the traditional error that Pisces make. You decided that if I'm not going to be all right, I'll just live for everybody else.
Yep.
And if I live for everybody else, everything will be okay. Okay. Well, that's a really wonderful, noble thing that you did. But what happens with that is at some point in time, you run out of good fortune. In other words, who's going to lay down the good fortune for you?
Yep.
And in our book, The Exquisite Zodiac, this book is based upon, written by Liza and myself. This book is based upon the evolution of all the signs to the sign of Pisces becoming very selfless and giving. But the book stresses that the Pisces must have that Pisces nature in balance, which means they have to have ego and non-ego, self and non-self. And too many Pisces become non-self, 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 to the point where they're left with nobody left there. There's nobody left in the ego. So what I surmised at the end of the book was that Pisces people need to have more ego, even though it's their nature to be non-ego. Okay? Now, when did you find in your life that being too much non-ego really bit you?
Now,
Would you say it happened before, or has it been a crescendo that's been building till now?
it's been building till now.
Okay. Now, perfect. We got a beautiful chart in front of us. We got a perfect example. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to find tonight. All right. Because I've already studied it at great length and talked about it with Liza. Your chart is going through a phenomenal spiritual turning point. Now, you're ready for it. But there are 2 or 3 types of spiritual turning points. One spiritual turning point is just, I'm not going to let people walk on me anymore. I'm going to become more of a self. I'm going to come into the here and now. Because if you're not in the here and now, then you are, by definition, dead. If you're not in the here and now, you're a walking shell. You're not living in the here and now where all events take place. And it's not easy. And you notice the phenomenal success that Eckhart Tolle had writing books about living in the now. It's not simple. He's a master at it, but it sounds easy, but it's not. Okay. Now, one kind of spiritual turning point is starting to live for yourself in the here and now. And they're all really good, massive, necessary states. The second state. This is the state that most people think is a spiritual turning point. When you talk to most people, especially with their financial advisor, most people think that their spiritual turning point is when they get straight with God. Or you might say they get peaceful with their own impending death. Well, you're past your second Saturn return. You're past the age 58. So 84 is the age when the third Saturn return happens. And it doesn't mean you'll die at that time, but it means at that time you really need to get your spiritual life straight. That's the second kind of spiritual turning point. The third one is what I'm dedicated to turning this show into. The third one is where you realize that you are of one mind with all of us. It's the real spiritual turning point where we realize there's just one of us. I'm not making this up. This is what Jesus told us. All of the Gospels and the holy books have pointed to the fact that we are one, that we're not separate. That's the third and the real type. And that's not simple by any means. Ram Dass did an awful lot in his lifetime to lead the way with such thinking. Paramahansa Yogananda did. TM did. All kind of Eastern movements tried to introduce this type of thought to Western man to different degrees of success. So now, we've not only got this going on, we've got what? We've got the Pluto return going on, which is the destruction of the United States. We've known about this for 15 years, Liza and I, and other astrologers that we know, but we didn't want to talk about it because we weren't certain, we weren't sure, we didn't want to scare people. Now it's rather obvious. Okay, so as the U.S. is falling apart, it's up to us to rebuild it. It's up to us to stop it and rebuild it. And I don't have to tell you much. You can look at it in the news and you can see this. This will be the subject of our show on February 24th. Me and Stephen Poppin will be discussing the Pluto return. So in your case, you can't jump into stage 3, and you can't jump into stage 2 because you still got to jump into stage 1. Okay, so what will happen to you, and what's been happening, I've been telling people this, if you're not living in the here and now, that's another way of saying you're not living in sync with your evolution. So what has Pluto been doing to people? I've been telling you the past 6 weeks. What is Pluto doing to people in the United States and throughout the world that are not living in the here and now? Pluto is removing their support systems.
Yep.
People that gave you money, people where you could come here and get a book anytime you wanted, people you could get medical advice from, people you could cry on their shoulder, whatever it is. Pluto is putting that to an end. Now, has that happened to you?
Yes.
Okay, give me details. Don't embarrass.
Um,
I don't want you to
no,
embarrass
I'm
yourself,
just
but give me some details.
in the past couple years, I've had longtime friends, and the relationships have ended as I got more braver to speak my truth, and I guess they made decisions and choices for themselves because of my flightiness or whatever is too hard for them to manage. So,
Now, wait a
and
minute.
being
Now,
isolated.
this is very, very important. Did they leave your relationships because you no longer depended on them, or what? Or they no longer depended on you? How was it? This is critical.
Probably a little of both. Some were just told me they were ending it, and I ended it with some.
When they said they were ending it, did they say why?
It was too much for them to deal with who I am.
With your emotional sadness?
No, I understood, because it's very difficult to be in this, to be in me. And I can understand how others get very disjointed with the flightiness or the no boundaries, no filters.
Okay.
I'm still like that child in the crib that had to compartmentalize and put on the show to get
Okay, now
noticed.
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when you have Mars Saturn together, it means that even if you wanted to go forward, you're not going to go forward unless a chaperone comes with you. And your Mars wants to go forward. It doesn't want a damn chaperone. It wants to just go. And now your Mars is in Cancer, which is one of the worst places for Mars, because Mars in Cancer, you're always worried you're going to step on some ant, you're going to step on a bug, you're going to step on a person's feelings. You're just so worried about hurting others that you really don't allow yourself to use your testosterone. So Mars in Cancer is very cautious. Now, put it next to Saturn, and Saturn is retrograde. Okay? So when Saturn is retrograde, even though you told me you got along well with your dad, that tells me that there was a disjoint between you and your dad. There was some lack of fusion between you and your father. What was that?
I found out after my father died, my brother, who was their natural child, told me that Ed did not want me. He didn't want to adopt a child, and that Pat, the wife, did it.
Okay.
And
All right, well, we're saying enough of this because what we're going to do now is go right to the source of the problem. And the source of the problem is not in your birth chart. It's not in anybody's birth chart. It's in the past life. And I'm going to stick to it. Now, in your past life chart, here's your 12th harmonic chart. Now, this is very difficult to read. This is called the 12th harmonic. This is a derivative chart, Terry, of your birth chart. This symbolizes, and through all the work I've been doing with this, first of all, nobody else is doing this kind of work. This chart to me has proven to be your spiritual transcript. So if you're sitting at the end of a long line of births, multiple lifetimes, and you're about to take a new lifetime, what are you going to do? You're going to review all your lifetimes with your spirit guides. You're going to review all those lives to decide in 1946, do you want to take a new life? Yes, you decided you want another life. Well, why? There's only one reason to take another life, which is to perfect things that you don't have right as you saw it in 1946. So what do we see in your chart, which is so astounding to me? You got a strong Eris right across the zodiac from Chiron. You got Eris with the sun in Gemini across from Chiron and the moon in Sag. So I'm going to paraphrase this all for you. To make it very simple for you, your chart and your history of lifetimes, the only reason you had trouble, and we all have trouble, so don't feel picked on. Your trouble was intellectual. Your trouble was, well, you told me to believe this, but you told me to believe that, and I can't believe that when I believe this, and I believe these, and that's confused with this, and you were just all screwed up mentally. Because of what people told you. And I'm not going to put the blame on anybody to make you a victim, because you're not. But the point is that at that time in 1946, you felt like you were a mess mentally, and you needed to come into this new lifetime in 1946 to get your mind straight. And you planted a seed in the ground in 1946, and that seed has popped up today on this show. That is what's happened. When I speak like this, I can't tell you how I know. I just know, okay? And you can turn the show off if you want and talk to another astrologer if you want, but that's what's happening. She planted a seed in 1946 to get her mind straight, and she decided that during this lifetime, she would have nothing but emotional chaos all around her. And she decided I would be adopted. And all these characters from your soul group came in and said, I'll play that role, I'll play that role, I'll play that role. So nobody's to blame for what happened, but you wanted, isn't it interesting that you wanted to get your mind straight so much that you were willing to start with a prima facie case, how's that, John Case? A prima facie case of emotional instability. Or I can't rely on anybody in the family. Okay, what I'm telling you now is of certainty to me. You are a very advanced soul. There's no doubt in my mind, but we got to dig deeper. So you come into this lifetime and you plant, you're not born at the second that you're born. How do I say that? You're born at the exact second you have to be born, because the planets are only like that once. And that's you. Okay, so you take this lifetime, which is represented by your natal chart. And what do we see in a natal chart? What did I say? You came into this lifetime to gain sanity in your mind from all these crazy, apparently conflicting reports. And you also wanted to do it while we had an emotionally unstable world. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. You got a moon. The moon is your stability. It's opposite the most unstable planet there is. The moon is in the most unstable signs that there are, Sagittarius and Gemini. And you put all your energy into loving people and getting grounded and giving love. So I'm not going to poo-poo this. You have done a lot of good for yourself by loving people. You've been very loving. It's been very real. Venus and Pisces is one of the most beautiful things that you can have in a chart. But at the end of the day, you run out of gas because you've not done anything for you. So what do? We go up to your ninth house, which is where your philosophy is. Your philosophy has this wonderful trio of Jupiter and Chiron and Neptune in Libra. This is symbolic of somebody that just gets it, how to love people. Just gets it. She just gets it. But we're not done. Opposite those planets, look at your ascendant. Ascendant, descendant, 5 degrees, 6 degrees. Neptune at 8, Eris at 5. We got a grand cross. 5, 8, 5, 5. So what did Eris do? What Eris did, Eris delivered the message to you that all of this shit was about to start in the year 2005. And that's when it started. 2005, 2006, when Eris was discovered. And still they won't put it on the latest documentary I just saw by Tarnas. Tarnas is actually talking about Eris. He's actually talked about it a couple of times. But I understand here comes Winnie. I understand his way of thinking. When your chart has a grand cross with Eris and all these psychological planets, what it looks to me like is this. You came into this lifetime being a martyr. And you said, my way out of martyrdom is for me to get intellectually straight. Because at that time, you were trying to figure your way out of martyrdom intellectually. And there is no way out of martyrdom because there's no way out of martyrdom. The only way out is not to get into it. Okay? Because eventually someone's going to put you up on a cross, right? Eventually someone's going to put you up on a cross. So somewhere through this life, probably around age 42, you learned that the martyrdom had to change. So what happened at the midlife?
When I moved here. That's when I moved here.
Okay. So that's the midlife crisis. That's when you do the general shift of directions. This ain't working. So it looks to me real clear that you came into this lifetime thinking, you were very confused mentally, but you were thinking that you had to take another life, and that was your main job, was to straighten out the mental confusion, so much to the point that you even agreed to put your feet in quicksand, which just made it worse. Okay? Hi, Winnie. Good to see you. Okay. So, since age 42 till now, it's just been hell because you've allied yourself with the quicksand and you've not really gone through with the mental job of putting it all together, because the mental job requires that you're living in the here and now. You cannot solve the mental job in any spiritual path, any Buddhist path, any Hindu path. You cannot solve any of them unless you're living in the here and now. And they've all got words for it. And they're all, the basis of all of these things is living in the here and now. Okay, so we'll go back in this lifetime and we'll take a look at this. I'll show you how this works. It's fabulous. I knew this would be really interesting. Okay, This chart shows me the early days of your life. The early days of your life take place in this area, and they take place in this area, and there's nothing there. Okay, so I'm looking at the fact that you're adopted when you say 9 months?
Correct.
Well, that's really, really early. Okay, in the astrology, in the solar arcs, where you move everything 1 degree per year of life, we see that the crisis came when you were 12. Neptune came over your Chiron when you were 12. This descendant went over Saturn when you were 13. So when you were 12 and 13, the S hit the fan, and what happened to you was all of the spiritual bills came due. And to you, it would have seemed like, my God, what are they expecting me to do with all of this stuff at my age? So what happened to you at 12 and 13?
I was graduated from grammar school. I don't think anything traumatic happened. They made me go to a girls' school. I didn't want to go. That was about the biggest thing that I remember.
What age?
I was 13, 14.
I think it was very traumatic. I think it was real traumatic by your chart. I've learned to not listen to people. I don't listen to people. I listen to the chart. I listen to people second. The chart doesn't lie. The chart tells me the trauma was at age 12 or 13. So when you went to a school that was all girls,
Mm-hmm.
what did that mean to you? Well, why was that hard on you emotionally?
Well, one thing that was hard because I had to take a bus for like 2 hours to get there. They were rich kids that I didn't fit in. They didn't want me there, and all my friends were somewhere else.
Okay, now that's very traumatic. All right, now I'm going to ask you. This is so big. I'm not sure how to deal with it. It takes me a few.
That's all right.
It takes me a few minutes. Now, you've got the natal chart of somebody with so many blessings. This wonderful stellium here, this wonderful stellium here. And then you got somebody over here driving with the brakes on. They're driving with the brakes on. So we wonder, why are you driving the car with your brakes on? Where were you taught early on that you can't just go, that you have to go cautiously?
Never.
I'm sorry, I'm not following your answer.
I was always allowed. I don't know if it's because my adoption, but I was also molested in a church when I was 5 years old. And just when you were talking about the 12 and 13, there was a couple instances where people, like, a visitor, we were visiting and they were exposing themselves. There was some of that. So my mother overprotected me and I became a brat. They gave in.
Okay, but where, I got some of this myself, but where did the theme of I'm going to move cautiously come from?
Maybe because I closed down emotionally.
Okay, that's exactly why. Was that because of a rape?
I think I closed down in the crib.
You think you closed down even earlier? Why did you?
Yeah.
What did you hear in the crib that made you close down?
I noticed evidently that I had to get the attention of the providers, I had to put on the show.
Boy, your life and mine parallel a lot. Okay, I'm going to
Well,
talk.
the name of my book that I picked in 96 that I haven't written was called Breaking the Mask.
Well, there you go. And
Yep.
the name of my book, which I did write, was called Pisces, the Ultimate Sign. Okay, I'm going to be very straight. I'm going to be very straight with you.
Oh, that's fine. I appreciate
And
that.
one of the reasons I'm going to do that is because I'm talking to myself. Because I have the Mars Saturn, I have the cautious driving with the brakes on myself. I had two parents that were they just let me do whatever I wanted. I don't mean that they were ignorant. I mean, they just said, go play and have fun. And they just let me go. Okay, here's what I think about your chart. I think your chart is the time is now that is the end of excuses.
Good.
I think it's that simple. It's the end of excuses. You are very talented. You've got a very big mind. You've got a triple whammy, huge heart. And this BS about coming into the here and now is just that. Because the way you come into the here and now is to just come into the here and now. And you allow life to be. You don't do anything. That's the problem with America. We think we got to do something. It's not the answer. Doing is not the answer. Allowing is. Allowing. And the thing about you is, I can tell immediately that you're very much a simple, laid back, pleasant woman who just wants to allow things to be. That in a lot of ways, you do let life be. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to find out.
This meeting
Okay.
is being recorded.
Do you have time do you have the ability when you're with a group of friends to just allow people to be?
No.
Oh, isn't that shocking? Claudia, that's shocking. Why is it, Terry? So you notice person A is doing what that disturbs your here and now? What are they doing?
They're not involving my way of, it's hard to kind of know. What are they doing?
Can you allow? If John just started talking, he's the other gentleman in the picture here. If John just started talking, telling us a story, would you have an easy time allowing him to tell the story or not?
Yes.
You're obviously allowing me to tell all kinds of stories. So where do you get this idea that you need to stop people?
I don't know.
I know a lot of people I grew up with that have Mars Saturn conjunct like that. And in my opinion, I've seen a lot of them maintain that through their life, but it gets a lot better. And I see a lot of them be very fluid now. They're very fluid and easy going, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. What does your trust report say?
My trust report?
Yeah, who do you trust?
I don't have I have no filters. I don't know how to discern.
That's a very Piscean answer, yes. Who do you trust? Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you trust your children?
No.
That's very honest. Okay. A general person that you don't trust without picking on somebody, why is it you don't trust them?
Um, because I don't open up to anyone to ever get that close to me.
That's not
ever.
what the question was. The question
I
was,
know.
why don't you trust them?
Or maybe I trust everybody. I don't know.
Okay, well, these answers are they're very Piscean, and they're what I expected. Okay, now
I know.
this is very Piscean, it's understandable. How sick of this are you?
Totally.
How sick of all of this shit are you?
Enough to change.
Okay. Now, if you open up while you're talking to John or somebody else, what's the worst that's going to happen to you?
They don't,
Nothing's
I don't
going to,
know.
nothing's going to happen to you, Terry. Nothing. You see, the problem with people that don't trust is they don't realize that they're the ones that are attacking first. And what happens is they get attacked back or attacked second, and they perceive it as they're being attacked because they don't realize that being non-trusting is attacking.
Hmm.
When you're not trusting, what are you saying to the other person? I don't trust you. Well, the other person feels offended by that. Well, why don't you trust me? Well, damn it, I'll punch you back. That's the dynamics of A Course in Miracles down to a T. That's what it's all about. When you don't trust, you attack. And when you attack, you'll get attacked back, and you're going to perceive it as if they're attacking you first. When instead, if you just trust, lower your boundaries, become unguarded, right? What's my list here? Be willing, be accountable, be defenseless, be vulnerable, be radically honest, trust, and have gratitude. So 2 of those out of the 7 points of the course are based upon being defenseless. Don't defend yourself and make yourself vulnerable. And if you make yourself vulnerable, that's when you become invulnerable. Now, what I'm getting at is you already know this. You already know what was the list again, Ray? Willingness, accountability, defenselessness, vulnerability, radical honesty, trust, and gratitude. Terry, you already know this. You know the other stuff doesn't work. What do you think has pushed you to this brink that you're at now? When you don't trust, how does God's energy get through to you?
Takes everything away.
When you don't trust, how can God's energy get through to you and make you healthy, and make you wealthy, and make you happy, and make your skin look good, and make your relations good, make your books look good, make your car look good, make your family look good? When you don't trust, what happens to all those things?
Go away.
They all go away or they suffer because they're not fed. They're not fed God's light, God's energy, God's graces. Okay? Now, it's my opinion that you have had a rough life, and it's because you are very advanced and you came into this lifetime and you expected more hardship. See, the point is when you start to trust, you can start to expect goodship, not hardship. Things will go well. They will get better. They will come to you. things will fulfill you. You'll have better skin. You'll have better meals. You'll have better feelings in your stomach, better feelings in your joints. Do you have a lot of problems in your joints?
No.
That's amazing. Do you have trouble?
Well, I choose to be healthy, and stress is not good. Stress
Well,
kills.
that's wonderful. And the number one thing that leads to stress is blockage. And Mars, Saturn is a symbol of blockage. So when are you going to just let go?
Today.
I'm serious now. Do you feel like it's been inching closer and closer to you that you're going to be able to let go?
I have to.
That's not what I asked you.
Will I be able to?
Don't ask me any question that starts with will.
Let's see. Well, no, I was just repeating the question. Yes, I will be able to.
Let's look at your chart, okay? Because it's going to show up in your chart. It's going to show up in your chart. Okay.
Oh, good.
Where's Pluto right now? Pluto is right
Coming.
now. Pluto is right now about 27 degrees. Do you see that point?
Yes.
That point is at a right angle to the midheaven and to the nadir. That line right there is getting hit by Pluto right now. Okay. When that line gets hit by Pluto, it means that you're really ready. Now let's talk about the nadir and the midheaven. That line in your chart, the vertical line, is your nadir, where I'm coming from, and the midheaven, where I'm going to. Where am I coming from? And we know you come from a land with a lot of history to it, a lot of baggage. Where am I going to? The going to for most people is their career. We're going to for you and for me is spiritually. Okay? It's going back to God. Pluto is squaring that now. It's just starting. That's why you're on this show, because Pluto is squaring those two. And when Pluto squares those two, what it does is it gets a balance. It gets a balance. So for a long time, you've been walking up, sneaking up on getting a balance on this line. And now you're here. What that means is where I've been, who I used to be, and where I'm going is now balancing.
Wow.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything to achieve this balance. All you need to do is to allow it. You've had it delivered to your house tonight for free from Pittsburgh to California for nothing. You've had it delivered to your house, put on YouTube forever for the rest of your life, so you can watch it all you want to. This does not happen to bums. This does not happen to spiritual bums. This happens to people who are worthy spiritually because they've been doing their hard work. That's how it happens. You are worthy of it. Now, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Perhaps you want to work with a psychologist and talk about this driving with your brakes on. Perhaps you want to work with that in early stuff in your childhood. I don't know. It's not my territory. I'm much faster than a psychologist. Okay? The planets are quicker than that. It is my opinion that you are making huge leaps when you see this planet Eris involved. Let me go back to this. Watch this. Let me go into your, I'm sorry. Let me go back into your 6th harmonic chart. All right. This is a chart of your destiny. Okay? What do we see in your destiny chart? The sun is opposite Eris. And the T-square goes to Chiron and Leo. This is what you're supposed to do. Sun in Scorpio, Eris over here, Chiron and Leo. What I'm trying to tell you is you don't even have any choice with this stuff.
No.
You don't even have any choice. When Eris gets a hold of you, which is the planet that's kicking ass now, she brings the collective to take a bite out of you. And when the collective takes a bite out of you, you have no idea if it's going to be little, great big, multiple bites, if it's going to leave you alone, what? It's my opinion by watching this that you are now at the end of all the bullshit. You're at the end.
Good.
You're at the end of all this stuff that you've been telling Terry. Stop it.
Yep.
That's where you are.
Yep.
Now, you don't have to solve this tomorrow, nor will you be able to. But the thing you're missing, you must not have read this, because Pisces have the two best gifts in the whole zodiac. In the whole zodiac, we all have gifts. You have two best: faith and belief.
Yeah.
How many times do you say to people, you don't have enough faith, you don't have enough belief, and you've got it naturally?
All the time.
See?
I say
See?
it all the time.
See, that's why the book should have been called Pisces, the Ultimate Sign, because you have it naturally. And I tell people that, and they go, oh, Pisces, they're a bunch of bums and alcoholics and thieves. Why you talk about that? I say, because you don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand how advanced this sign is. And the reason you're so advanced is you're beyond competing. You're beyond trying to grab. You're back in the state of wanting to return to the oneness and allowing. And the reason I'm kicking your butt so hard is because spirit and grace is trying so hard to get through to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I did go to my local bookstore, and they didn't have your copy, but I've been drawn to that ever since you.
Well, not many bookstores
Really?
have it, but it's on Amazon.
Oh, okay. I've
Okay.
never been on Amazon.
Well, you can go to my website. You can buy it on my website, either
Oh, cool.
the book
All
or
right.
the Kindle version. You can buy it there. I really recommend it to you because it shows you how the whole zodiac evolves through 12 stages and becomes the Pisces at the end.
Yep.
Why do you think Jesus has his hands like this? What do you think? What do you think he's saying? What sun sign do you think he was? Do you think he's born in December, or was he a Pisces? Of course he was a Pisces. The hands up here means it's all yours if you want it.
Yeah, one of my sayings, there was two, when they say, unless you become like a little child.
Right.
That's
Right.
me. I had it. I have it. That's all I have. I was with God. When I was molested in that church, the angels were with me. I was not afraid. I did not lose my faith.
Yeah,
Religion is something different.
who chose to be molested? Do you think the molester chose it or you? Who chose to be molested?
I guess I did.
Who chooses to be a victim?
I do.
We do. Who are the biggest victims in astrology? Pisces and Cancer. They just are. Pisces and Cancer are the victims of astrology. The point I'm saying to you, Terry, is this. You are done now. You are done. You're done. You don't need this stuff anymore. You don't need this junk anymore. You don't need anybody to agree with you anymore because you already know 50 times more than they do. Because you got a great, big, open, loving heart. You really do. Now, that doesn't mean lay down in the middle of the street if there's a gang war going on. Doesn't mean that, but it means you got to start trusting. And when people are non-trusting and they have to start trusting, they have to start somewhere. You know, whether there's a little thing during the day, a little thing the next day, whatever, you need to take this item that you're about to get uptight with, say, you need, the key to this is becoming aware when you're starting to block it, when you're starting to block. I'm starting to block myself. Let me stop this from happening. Give it to God, let go of it, and see what happens tomorrow. That's how you gain faith. And that's how your brake pedal starts to back off of that gas pedal. That's how it happens. You see, I don't think that there's anything that I'm talking. Eric, I don't have time to read your messages. You keep typing to me when I'm reading, and I just don't know how to answer your message when I'm talking. I'm sorry. Now, Terry. And I lose my train of thought. Do you think this would happenstance tonight?
No. Everything happens for a reason, and that's what I've been searching for. Very, very
You
hard.
know what? You've been in some way praying for it, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, this is your answer. Do you think I know what the hell I'm doing? I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
You're a vessel.
I'm doing the best I can with what I know. Yes, I'm doing the best I can. Yes. And I am a vessel. And what's that vessel telling you?
It's telling me to accept who I am.
The
where I
number
am,
one thing
and
it's telling you and all of us is that you are worth it.
yes.
It's that simple. That's what Pisces' problem is. They look up and they glorify God so highly that they feel so low. They feel like nothing, but you're not nothing. You are
Oh
his.
no, I don't
You
feel
are
that
his
way.
son.
We are all divine. We are the creation and the creator.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And therefore, you have no more need to put the brake pedal on when you want to just go for a damn ride.
Awesome.
You have no more need for it. Tomorrow, get your putter out. Get your little
My
car. Just go take
convertible.
a-
I have a convertible.
Oh, that's even better. Go take a damn ride with no brake pedal. Just go take a ride.
Yeah.
You are not limited unless you choose to limit. You're not a victim unless you choose to be a victim. Claudia has raised her hand. Yes. Yeah, Claudia, I can't find you on my jumping screen here.
I'm right here.
Yeah, go ahead, dear.
I wanted to just tell you, Terry, I really I understand a lot of trust issues, and I've felt very similarly because of some similar situations I've also been in. And I trapped myself in my own self because of lack of trust. And it took me a while to realize it, but I was creating my own hell. And the only person that I really realized I ever needed to trust was myself. And I am an extension of God. And it's me and him. It's me and him. It's never really about, do I trust my friend? Do I trust my husband? Do I trust? It doesn't matter. I will know. And my inner voice will tell me, do I trust that? And I know you know what I mean. Just if you focus on just, do I trust myself in this moment? Because you're going to know what's right for you, what's not right for you. And that's your mind playing that pattern again. So, I mean, Pluto hitting those 2 points,
Pluto hitting those points is symbolic of I'm not taking any more shit. And what it's
I'm ready.
what it's really directed at is you giving yourself shit. And I'm not going to do it anymore because it's pure passion. That's what Pluto is. It's passion. Now we're seeing it countrywide. So woo, because we're seeing a lot of people waiting back that they hate the government, but they want the government to solve it for them. I'm going to end this really quickly here in a simple fashion here. You have every reason to believe that everything's going to get better and better and better as you start to trust more and more. And if you start to trust and somebody's a clown with you, then they're a clown, then move on. But as you start to trust, you will naturally have less clowns showing up in your life. They just won't show up. And if you're all afraid of being stopped, you're going to get all these people in your life that are going to try to stop you. We create what we expect. So I want to know now, how do you feel about Terry, who was blocked an hour and 16 minutes ago?
I feel lighter.
Why do you?
I feel I can do what I came here for.
What did you come here
It's
for?
important.
What did you come here for?
I came here to be loved.
She didn't say be loved. She said to be loved. That's why they're the ultimate sign of the zodiac. They're here to give love. That's why. Well, I have no more words for you. I hope people have enjoyed it tonight. And I hope the YouTubers that are watching have enjoyed it. You have to understand, from my perspective, and I think I speak for most of the people here, Terry, you exude love. You exude being a wonderful person, okay? And a lot of times Pisces people, they've become doormats and they get stepped on and they get bruised so much that they get this feeling of being spent, and worn out, and they're just not sure of themselves. But when you really clear the clouds away and look past all that, you got the stellium of planets in Libra, you got the stellium of planets in Pisces also. But what do you have from the past life? In the past life, we saw where you just simply got yourself messed up intellectually. Is this true? Is this true? If there's 7 angels, is there 8 angels? Is there 9 angels? Maybe there's 8. Is it a super angel? I don't know. What's it? You just got messed up with all the thoughts and the crappy ideas of the church.
Yes.
You don't need a church, do you? Because you got
I go to God.
Because you got the real thing.
Yeah, and I've always had it. That's why I came. I came from God.
Yeah, but what you got to do now, in my opinion, is start with him and say, look, I don't know about this driving with my brakes on thing that Rick's talking about, but I'm starting to do it in this situation. I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to let you have it. Please solve it and let me know. You got to give it to him.
Yep.
And I look forward to hearing progress reports.
Oh, thank you.
I hope to
I
God
look forward to the book. I look forward to getting the book.
the book, read the book twice, all the way through. Don't cheat, read the whole thing, and it'll explain everything to you. And please come back. Let us know how you're doing several months down the road. And I think you're going to be loosier goosier.
Thank you.
See, Marcia thinks so too. Huh.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you for being our guest. We're going to move on. Remember, next week we have Mark, who's been on the show many times. Then we'll have another client sit before us 3 weeks from now. Then on the 17th, we will have the Reverend Greg Keene doing his psychic mediumship work. And then we will have me and Stephen Poplin on the 24th of February talking about the Pluto return. God bless you, Terry.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything. And
Thank you,
thanks to
guys.
everybody who's been so patient tonight. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank
Love you all.
Bye, Terry.
Thank
Bye,
you
Rick.
so
you,
much.
Love
Rick.
you all.
Shelby
Bye-bye.
says
It's
bye.
wonderful.
Bye
What
bye,
an
Winnie.
inspiration.
Bye. Thank
You're
you.
gonna be great, Terry. You're gonna be great.
Thank you.